I am so excited to bring you this Pluto video. We are going to talk about the most powerful place in your natal chart, in your horoscope, inside your own self. Where is it? It's Pluto. You can't really understand your Pluto unless you understand it in aspect to the other planets. The aspect is the conversation that the planets are having, and we want to know if they're nice conversations, if they're challenging conversations, if Pluto's yelling at you, if Pluto's hugging you, right? We want to know the expression of Pluto, and you can't know that without knowing the aspects. So in this video, I'm going to talk about Pluto in relationship to the sun in your chart, okay? So we're going to talk about the hard aspects, and we're going to talk about the easy aspects. Now, orbs is another thing that we have to talk about, and that is how far away in degrees can Pluto be. It's a little bit different because Pluto is so far away. We have to take smaller orbs. We'll go into that too, but it's absolutely critical. So Pluto aspects are important. Why? Why is it important for you to understand Pluto so deeply in your work of self-discovery? You cannot know yourself without knowing or understanding the subconscious shadow side of yourself. And this side, it's where you carry trauma. It's where you carry this psychological wound. And it desperately needs to be healed. And hopefully you'll get to heal it in this lifetime. Pluto aspects are important in your chart because they show you how Pluto naturally functions in your chart, just without even focusing on it. What is it doing? And when Pluto interacts with another planet, it's trying to merge its energy and influence. And because Pluto, I think, is the most powerful planet in the chart, it exerts a lot of power over all the other planets. We're going to talk about Pluto Sun aspects. And if you don't have any Pluto Sun aspects, I still want you to watch this video because you will get Pluto Sun aspects via transit at some point in your life. And when these aspects happen by transit, you will be able to relate to that portion of the video that I'm talking about. So I, for example, was not born with Pluto conjunct the sun. However, I knew in my lifetime I was going to experience a transit of Pluto conjunct my sun. And I did experience that. And when that did happen, my father passed away. He passed away when Pluto was exact on my Venus. So I want you to listen to the aspects that you know will occur for you in this lifetime. I hope you guys have watched my entire Pluto playlist, and Pluto by sign and Pluto by house is very critical. It shows where your past life traumas have occurred and on what subject matter and the energy in which Pluto works in your chart, and they're critical. So please, please, if you're just getting to know me for the first time, or if you've just found this video and this is the very first hello that we've had, I'm sorry that it's a big fat Pluto hello, but I want you to watch my entire Pluto playlist because I go deep, deep into Pluto through the houses and Pluto through the signs. I am telling you, I could speak on each one of these aspects in one video. So I could do Pluto conjunct the sun, and I could talk about it for probably 5 hours. Pluto is a really big subject. I mean, you could get your dissertation just on Pluto. And when I did a survey on my community page, which, by the way, I love it when you guys answer my polls and my surveys, you guys asked for me to do a video series on Pluto to explain it to you in more depth because a lot of people are confused about Pluto in their chart. And so now we're doing the deep dive understanding of Pluto, and I hope so much that I've helped you come to understand what Pluto really is in your life. Now remember, it takes almost 245 years for Pluto to move all the way around the zodiac. So not everybody is going to get a Pluto Sun opposition by transit or a Pluto conjunct sun. It is the slowest moving planet in our solar system, therefore it is the most powerful. The planets that are furthest away from the sun, they hold a lot of torque, they have a lot of energy. Pluto can be quite destructive, to be honest with you. Pluto, if we're going to talk about it honestly, it's going to be a hard subject to talk about because Pluto is everything taboo, everything we don't like to talk about. Pluto in your natal chart, and also when it's making a tight aspect by transit, it's asking you to have a relationship with your deeper self. And it will bring people and events into your life to do just that. The aspect that Pluto makes is like a loud, rumbling volcano. It's an enormous, it is a gargantuan subconscious force within you. And maybe you don't see it, but you feel it. And you just know that that power is there. Just as if a volcano was rumbling right in front of your house and you lived at the base of the volcano. You felt the rumble, you heard the rumble, you could see the rumble every day, right? What would happen? You would learn to respect it. You also would probably fear it. And then you would disregard it. It would get boring living in chronic fear all the time. So then you would disregard it until it spoke to you again, until it rumbled again. And then you would be forced to succumb to it. You would also be forced to respect it, to learn about it, and you would probably still fear it. But you would learn how to live with that volcano right in front of your house. Pluto will disrupt your life. That's what it's supposed to do. It is the great awakener. And a lot of people say that about Uranus too. It's a different kind of awakening. It's the most powerful point in your chart, and it's going to take things away from you for you to get in touch with truth, a deeper truth. It has to do with power and respectfully disempowerment. It has to do with submission and dominance as well. Death, loss, crisis, and the psychological fears that run your life. This is why I see it as a wound. I see it as a point of trauma crisis. When it's healed, if it's healed, not everybody can heal their Pluto wounds in one lifetime or in this lifetime. Nobody probably can heal their wounds in one lifetime, Pluto wounds in one lifetime. If you can heal at least some of your Pluto wounds, it offers a truthful and a more enlightened awareness of yourself. This is the death of your ego, and this will disassemble your life as you know it, only to put yourself back together again in a better, stronger, more powerful way. Pluto, just like Saturn, will either destroy you or make you stronger, or will do both. People who have strong Pluto aspects are extraordinarily powerful. They might not know it until later in life. They may not know it until that power has been stripped away from them and they have to regrow it, just like pruning a hedge. But there's a lot of power inside Pluto Sun people. And when you meet a Pluto Sun person in any aspect, and the tighter the orb, the stronger this is, they become Plutonian or even scorpionic. There is a Scorpio-like quality to anybody who has a tight Pluto Sun aspect in their chart. Also Pluto ascendant. When Pluto is conjunct the Sun, I want you to consider it at 10 degrees. However, 10 degrees is pretty far away for Pluto. If you've got a Pluto conjunct the Sun at 2 degrees or less than 5, that's intense. And I would say that you will still feel it at 6 degrees and 7 degrees. 8, 9, and 10, not quite as much, and you might just have a very thin layering of this Pluto quality. These people are powerful, and I mean powerful. These people will either have a desire, or there will be great cause, or a need, or a reaction to the external events in their life that will force them into a deep self-transformation. Now, these people could just have a desire to transform themselves, literally like going from being a male to a female, or they could have an accident or a world event in their life, a death, a suffering, a loss. It usually comes through something painful that will demand, command, or force them to transform their life. This is not just dyeing my hair pink, okay? That's more of a Venus type of transformation. This is a profound and meaningful and powerful and even radical transformation to get rid of, or it will have gotten rid of things that you love, or Pluto events will get rid of the things in your life that no longer measure up to your ideals or assist you in your karmic journey. It's almost as if Pluto Sun will outgrow themselves, their world, their parents, their careers, their life, their children, their culture, their world. I want you to look at the house and the sign in which the conjunction is happening, and that is the subject matter that you will probably outgrow. So if you've got this in the 4th house, you're probably going to outgrow your mom, or you're going to have some sort of loss, or you will be catapulted into doing life without your mother in some way, shape, or form. If it's the 5th house, it may be your father. If it's the 10th house, it might be your career. If it's the 7th house, it might be your relationships. You outgrow your relationships and they no longer live up to your ideals. You no longer find the truth about your own life in those places and spaces. Pluto does 2 things. It eliminates and it renews. Now, it can't renew until after it's eliminated. So there's pain inside of the elimination, the thing that is being gone, taken from you, left, gone, released, thrown away, killed off, sloughed off, exfoliated, removed, detached, severed, right? This could be a Pluto transit, or you could experience needing to transform yourself. Say you are an amputee and you had to lose a leg, and now you have to build a life around a new set of needs. This is really truthful for Sun conjunct Pluto, but a lot of these definitions will overlap no matter what aspect you have. Pluto conjunct the Sun is not an easy aspect. It's actually quite hard. It's challenging. It's through facing this great challenge that you will find your greatness. So Pluto is going to create new form to yourself, to your life. Whatever planet Pluto is interacting with, it is going to, even if it's in positive aspect, it is going to destroy and annihilate and get rid of something that other planet has to do with. So for the Sun, that is your ego, that is your self-expression, that is yourself, that is your life force energy, that is the creation of you. So that's why Sun conjunct Pluto is very hard and it is very painful, because it's as if these people may feel like they've had to transform themselves through so many losses over and over and over. It's not just one loss, it's numerous losses, because you're going to constantly outgrow yourself. If you're not aware of how you have outgrown yourself, your life, your job, your career, whatever aspect, whatever house, whatever subject this is happening in, you thwart your own power and you probably will live a life of self-sabotage. So it's still a death. It's just a different kind of death, right? If you are willing to accept the losses that Pluto has given you and transform those losses into new beginnings, into a renewal, then it's like you level up in the game of life. But if you don't want to transform and you just want to stay in the cyclical nature of the Pluto wound, if you will, and the trauma, that's also a death of self too, right? It's a death of self whether you turn right or left. It's just if you lean into the losses and, like I said in my other Pluto video, spin gold from those pains, those sufferings, those agonies, that trauma, then you can grow. And you can grow into something better and stronger. You can grow into sort of an enlightenment or an empowerment. This planet is asking you to transcend from a lower vibrational resonance into a higher one. Think of Pluto as the place in your life where you need to break free from the psychological wound and entrapment, and where in your life you have experienced disempowerment and self-sabotage, if you will. And when you break free from that, you transcend that and you evolve. Now, I'm going to talk about challenge aspect and then in harmonious aspect, and then I'm going to go through them individually, okay? So I'm going to be speaking about all Sun Pluto people, whether you have it easy or hard. And I say easy because trines and sextiles with Pluto are not always easier, but the opposition, the conjunction, and the square are usually really challenging. Sun Pluto people have the opportunity to really become the wise gurus and the shamans in this lifetime. They can help the world transform itself for the betterment of all. So these are very, very, very powerful people. And when these transits occur in your own chart, by transit, as I said, it's a time of great possibility and empowerment. Pluto Sun people, and especially Pluto conjunct the Sun people, have an enormous power of the soul. When you're standing in their presence, you just feel it. You can feel the palpitation. And yet they may not even be directly aware of it. They may feel it, but they may not see it or even be in touch with it for a little while. And many of these people don't even understand how intimidating they can be. They're like, who, me? What? No, not me. This is where the darkness in you, the dark side of you, will meet the light. And it's like the light will shine onto the darkness and illuminate it. And the darkness will want to keep the light secret. We're going to explore it. It's really exciting. These people are usually very magnetic, dramatic, and intense, and so deep. Depending on who they are and how healthy they are, they can use their power for the total good of other people or the total destruction of things, of relationships, of beings, of entities, of corporations. It's kind of like being Harry Potter and Voldemort mixed into one. What are you going to do with your power? Chances are, if you have a big Sun Pluto aspect, you are a great illuminator, shining the truth on things that live underneath the surface. The underground moles, if you will, that have built huge secret colonies underneath your grassy backyard. You probably are going to have big giant themes in your life around the subject matter of power, what it means to have too much and what it means to have too little, and the detriments around people who have too much power, and you will see and experience the effects of that, and the detriments of the people in your life that have too little power. Did you grow up with a mother that had too little power and a father that had too much, or vice versa, or your own power? Did you work for a boss that had too much or too little? Did you see that your younger sister didn't have enough power in her life and it destroyed her in some way? Yeah, you are going to see the relationship, the theme song of power played out in your life. I would say that if you are a Sun Pluto person in any aspect, you have a very karmic journey to understand power, the entire gamut of power. And Pluto Sun people can be obsessed, even with the harmonious aspects, with power and with control. They can also have a great sense of themselves. They know what it feels like to have the power, get the power, and also leak their power, and also have no power. If you are older than 35 years old, you probably have experienced all of that. Remember, this is a journey. And when you're born, you're powerless. You have no power. You are 100% dependent on the people who are supposed to take care of you. Learning how powerful and how power works is one of your biggest karmic lessons in this lifetime if you are a Pluto Sun person in any aspect. Pluto Sun people usually have a very, very prominent or powerful father in their life. Father is going to be a very big theme in their life. They could also have had a very big loss of father. Now, father can play out in a lot of different ways, but I just want you to understand that father figure is going to be a very prominent, upfront, powerful thing in your life. Whether it is the abuse of him, the protection of him, the strength of him, powerlessness of him, maybe he was an invalid, the loss of him, the destruction of him, his power over you, your power over him, there is going to be some enormous theme with father. Why? Because power, Pluto, right? And the sun represents father. I also see Saturn as a representative of father too. I want to put that out there. We're going to circle back around. Their father figure is where they learned how to yield power in their own life. And it is the theme or the doorway or the gateway in which you found your power. And maybe it's because you lost your power with your father, so then you had to go out into the world and regain your own sense of self. I don't know exactly how it unfolded for you, but I do know that your relationship to your father developed your sense of power. You could also have a very powerful mother too, and you have to look at the other aspects in your chart, of course. I can say this about father pretty much for sure. Also, I want to say Sun Pluto people are very magnetic. They're alluring, they're mysterious, and they can also be really, really private. They can take great efforts to hide themselves. So you might think that I am showing myself to you, but if I'm a Pluto Sun person, I will promise you, you have a lot of secrets. You have a lot of things that you don't show, especially with the conjunction and the square aspect. These people hide big pieces of themselves. You may be in a relationship with a Pluto Sun person and you think you really, really know them, but They hide themselves from you, and they also may not express their true feelings. They may not be as transparent with you as you are with them. They need privacy. They don't like opening up their can of worms and just revealing everything. They do not like to show the trauma that lives inside of them. Pluto Sun people, especially the square and the conjunction, they absolutely abhor overexposure and transparency. Now, they can be transparent in some ways, like telling you what it is they need, but I mean, it's very difficult for them to be transparent around their wounds. They also will seem impenetrable, like you can't poke them. You can't get inside them very well. They will invite you to share with them, and they're probably really good listeners. They're the psychologist and the psychiatrist of the zodiac, the counselor and the therapist, the healer, but you'll know very little about them. You'll tell them everything, but they won't tell you everything. I personally think they are so highly perceptive and so in touch with their deep flaws that they are afraid that if they open themselves up to you, all these flaws are going to spill out for the world to see and to dissect. And so they don't want those things to be seen. It makes them feel vulnerable, and it makes them feel like they are less powerful. So what do? They stay hermetically sealed. These people can have such oozing magnetism, Sun Pluto people. They can be like the strong silent type. They can be very charming, very riveting. They can even manipulate people to get people to do as they wish just by barely lifting a finger. They need to become empowered in this lifetime. They need to matter. I mean, we all do. They have a great obsession with being meaningful, being significant, being important. They want to shine. That's that sun. And they want to shine powerfully, shine extra bright. They want to be seen. They want to be respected. They want to be the center of attention. And they really mostly want to leave a powerful mark on the world. If you meet an insecure Sun Pluto person, or somebody who has hard aspects, or Pluto opposing or squaring, and even the conjunction sometimes, these people have probably suffered big ego deaths of sorts in their early years. It depends how old they are and how much work they've done, but they also may not have even healed from the pain yet. They still could be years later in the aftermath and in the agony of the losses that they survived. Pluto Sun people also probably have come from a place at one point in their life of total disempowerment. If you can't relate to that, one, I want to know how old you are. And if you can relate to that, I would love to know, how did you feel disempowerment in your life? What loss did you suffer from? And what is one of the earliest losses you've suffered from? And have you healed it? Would you please share with me? Share with this community. I have to tell you, I have one of the nicest communities on YouTube. People are so respectful and so kind and so loving, and your comments and your stories and your shares literally mean the world to me and to others, and I really love seeing how you guys support each other in your shares. So will you share with me, where were you disempowered? Where and what happened to you that took your power away? And what was your earliest memory of a loss of power, if you don't mind sharing? Now, Pluto stories can be really gory, so if you don't want to share, I respect that too. A lot of Pluto Sun people with the hard aspects especially, and even the conjunction, they felt not seen, especially in the beginning of their life. They felt not important. They felt overlooked. They felt eclipsed by somebody in their life, or they had to deal with parents that had really strong egos that they were in competition with. And these people, Sun Pluto people, oftentimes lost a sense of pride, or they dealt with a parent, probably a father figure again, that was self-aggrandizing, or a king, or arrogant, or even a narcissist, or brutal, or cruel. That's where they learn to emulate the power, and they can become those things themselves. Not everybody, and not everybody is sinister and cruel who has a Sun Pluto relationship. However, they probably at some point did use their power in a way that they wished they hadn't. It's sad. And then there's a lot of regret in that. And then that's when we need to turn to our Neptune and ask for forgiveness for ourselves. Just ask ourselves to forgive ourselves. What we want to do with the challenge aspects of Sun Pluto is to transform use our Pluto to transform our sun, ourself, so our self does not grow into shame, to victimization, intense anger, frustration, paranoia, cynicism, self-sabotage, and just blocks being locked into our dysfunction. We don't want our traumas, our wounds to grow. Death, loss, divorce are going to be mega themes for the Pluto Sun person, especially with the square, the opposition, and the conjunction. Is that you? Did you experience death, loss, and divorce? They're going to be the natural born psychologist, detective, researcher. They're going to be able to work with the taboo. That's the things in society that nobody else wants to talk about. And they're probably going to experience the magic of life as well. And when I say the magic, I mean the magical, mystical parts of life. There's an awareness around this psychic sense and intuition, the occult, the supernatural, ghosts, aliens, right? Is this you? Can you relate? Will you tell me? Can you relate? Do you feel like you're in touch with the ethereal, with the supernatural? Pluto Sun people have such a perceptivity that it becomes their superpower when they are in touch with it. Are you in touch with your intuition and your psychic superpower? So these people, I want to tell you, have enormous boatloads, gargantuan desires. Even though you might not see them, their desires are so big, so massive, and so intense that they actually overwhelm themselves because they can see life in its most powerful potential. Oh my gosh, I was supposed to be Cleopatra. Why am I not getting to be Cleopatra? I'm supposed to run the world. Why am I not getting to run the world? This is so frustrating, right? Why is my power blocked? Yeah, these people have this great big desire in them. They have a desire also to understand life at the deepest levels. They want to understand the deep levels of sexuality, of death, of where the soul goes in between lifetimes, of the occult, of everything that society says we're not supposed to look at. And they're the great masters of transformation, literally to create miracles. And they most likely, if they're really in touch with their Pluto power, they will be the transformational shaman or guru. Now, the shadow side, because I want to talk about the light, but I also really want you to know about the dark. When these people are underdeveloped, they can become obsessive and compulsive. They can be downright cruel. They can be so violating. They can be so dark, sinisterly. Now, they probably have witnessed some of and this is especially with the square, the conjunction, and the oppositions, but it's not limited to them. You could have witnessed these with the sextile and the trine. You just were able to navigate the waters maybe a little bit easier, but also maybe not, because the trines and the sextiles can get you trapped in a good thing that's really a bad thing. I would like to go look at these charts. I don't know what they have. I just read that Elon Musk's father just had his second child with his stepdaughter. So that could be a trine or a sextile. So that's pretty taboo. In my opinion, that's pretty disgusting. So it's a taboo, horrifying thing that I think both of those people, Elon Musk's stepsister married his father and had 2 children. Are you guys with me? That is an example of a Pluto Sun trine or sextile. So it's not necessarily easier, but it's not wrecking havoc in their own lives, as sick and twisted as that is to say, like it is for me to imagine that, right? Like that just makes me want to go vomit. But she probably sees all the bennies and all the perks to that. I don't even know her name or her chart. I would love to go do research on it. But that's just an example of how a bad thing, a hard thing, a trauma thing, a wound thing can look or feel like you can flow with it more easily. But it still is pretty god-awful. Pluto Sun people have probably witnessed the most horrific things that poison their minds, poison their hearts, and even ripped apart their souls. Now, all things are relative. So me seeing a cat die, to me, might have been horror. And for you, you might have been able to deal with it. And that might not have been something that you would consider horror. So remember, everybody's pain and wound and trauma threshold is different. But Pluto Sun people will be confronted, I should say, with the frightening parts of life, most likely. And they probably saw darker things about life much too early in life. Is this you? Did you see dark things as a little kid? Because that is traumatizing. That's your innocence being stolen from you, and that feels unfair. You know, it's like their naivete, your naivete, was forced to become shrewd and fast and quick and early in order to survive your world. If you're a Sun Pluto person, Sun Pluto people, if they're unhealthy, they can have such a desire for power that they won't stop at any cost. They want to be the most prominent, most powerful person that they can possibly be. And that might mean aligning with somebody who has more power than you to merge with them so you can become powerful, right? Like riding on the backs of other people. Pluto doesn't mind. Pluto doesn't care how it gets there. Pluto doesn't care who it has to take out to be powerful. And that's when it is in detriment. When Pluto can get in touch with the vulnerability in life, and when the sun can be humbled, it doesn't take on a cruelty like that. It becomes authentic, and authenticity is what we're aiming for. Let me continue. It's a big story, you guys. It is a big story. I mean, I've read probably over 30 books on Pluto, and that's just hours upon hours of trying to understand and grasp Pluto. And I want to put it in a simpler form for you so you can understand how Pluto is running your life. It is running everything under the current. So unhealthy Pluto people, or Pluto Sun people that have felt diminished, can grow such a need to win. They can be so competitive to be the best, or to be powerful, or to be magnanimous, that they could even kill you while trying to win. They can be the most fixated, jealous, obsessed, stalker type lovers, never wanting to let go. They can be the full-blown stalker person. If you've got a stalker in your life, go look at their Pluto. It doesn't mean they're going to hurt you. I'm just saying they are obsessed. They cannot stand loss, which is ironic, because with Pluto, you have to accept the losses. But they can have this indomitable desire to not accept the losses, so they're going to lose anyway, right? Because you can't win that way. The sun is preoccupied with the ego, like I said, the light inside of you, like I said, your self-expression, the creation of you, your creativity, your essence, your aura, who you are in the world, and how you experience me. You are seeing right now the light in me, the expression and animation in me. You're seeing my life force energy. This is my sun sign that I'm showing you. It's also my persona, my rising sign too, and my Mars and Venus, it's all mixed in there. And then I'm talking to you through my Mercury, right? Well, when Pluto, which is preoccupied with the shadow side of life, the dark hidden parts that you cannot see, the unconscious dark part of you, making changes, transformation, power, death, and goodbyes and losses. And then that's having a dance with your very life force energy. Well, you can see the paradoxical conundrum. You can see the puzzle now, right? It's like literally life and death. And so life can feel very extreme. It can feel like literally life and death over and over and over and over again. And that's why it gets dramatic and intense. So mix these two things together to get the meaning of your Pluto and your karmic lesson. So as I mentioned, the father figure is very important. So I want to know about your dad if you're a Pluto Sun person. Who was your dad to you? Will you answer that question for me? The father can be larger than life, but the father usually has a great power and influence over the child with this placement. Even if they're an absent father, it's that absence that can be a preoccupation for the kid, especially if it's Pluto conjunction or Pluto square. With the Pluto conjunction and the Pluto square, there's going to be massive power struggles and hardships to overcome and transform. And these power struggles and hardships are going to come from early childhood. If you have an opposition, Pluto opposing the sun, then there's going to be misunderstandings and feeling like you don't get me, you don't understand me, you're so different than me, from the parent to the child. If there's a trine or sextile, the father could have had a positive power influence, and the loss of that father can be just unbearable. So there can be an over-idealization, like how am I going to live without him? There can be a great deal of shame and guilt to process from father's behavior, from father's bad boundaries, from father's drinking, from father's life. You can have a great deal of embarrassment or shame too. The karmic goal, I should say, for the Sun Pluto person is with these aspects, it will develop in you, it will force you to grow a more truthful and authentic personal power. So the goal is empowerment. And until the Pluto Sun person finds their own power, they will operate from a very, very detrimental state of insecurity, of giving away their power, of hiding their power, of staying closed off, closed up, too private, scared to open themselves up. Is this you? Can you relate? Leave me a comment below. You may start out in this lifetime feeling totally dominated by your environment until you find the courage. Pluto requires courage more than anything. Pluto requires courage to step boldly into your own power, to own your own self. I'll also tell you, I see this a lot with the opposition and the conjunction. These people, it's not necessarily true. These people can feel as if they're unattractive. Pluto is the dark side. It's the shadow. It also can be disfigured, disformed, disfigurements. And these people can feel ugly. These people can feel unattractive. These people can feel not good enough, not powerful enough. They can be very self-destructive. They can feel defeated, especially in their young life. They could also experience wanting to hurt their own selves because they have a deep shame around this. Now, this isn't everybody, and I pray to God that if this is you, you have healed this and you don't buy this or believe it, and that you know that you are a radiant, beautiful person in your own right. You might be unique or unusual, you know? It might not be a cookie cutter type of beauty, but work with the gifts that you do have and watch yourself become gorgeous. Just gorgeous. A lot of Sun Pluto people study death and they have a preoccupation with death and their own death. Eventually, you will probably find your way out of all of those things if you experience them by allowing yourself to step into your own power and role model yourself out of good, powerful people that you have surely met along the way. If you're a Pluto Sun person, you know powerful people. I know you do. I know that you probably rub shoulders with people who are very influential and powerful in this lifetime. So emulate what healthy power looks like. Remember, I said you're going to have a relationship with every aspect of power that there is. You're going to deal also with people who are very jealous and envious of you because that's the shadow side to Pluto. And when you get successful or you get wealthy or your career is blossoming, you'll find that there are others out there that are waiting in the wings just to sabotage you. Yeah, why? I don't know. It's Pluto. That's part of the lesson, dealing with losses and dealing with those who are jealous and envious of you. There can be a compulsion for greatness, wanting to be great so badly that you might even just kill yourself trying to be so great. Literally like Michael Jackson. He was a Sun conjunct Pluto person. He literally, his creativity and his desire to be the king of pop killed him. He killed himself. There is a pull to be the greatest thing on earth or the greatest thing that you can possibly be with Pluto Sun aspects, that anything less than that just feels unacceptable to the compulsive Pluto Sun person. Usually these people are just trying to prove to themselves, to justify to themselves or to their father or authority figure or the world, but usually to themselves, that they are magnanimous, that they are glorious, that they are a force to be reckoned with, that they too can be powerful. They go 100% in, maybe 1,000% in. These are not the half-assers in life. By the way, I just have to say right here, if you are a super supporter or a superstar super supporter, I love you. And I'm going to be doing mini Pluto chart readings for my members only video. And if you guys aren't a member, please come join my channel. You will love it. You're going to get your 365-day horoscope. You're going to get your gorgeous natal chart. You're going to get all my behind the scenes. You're going to get free tickets to all my events and parties. And you guys will get discounts on all of my master classes. You get so many things. Plus you get to join this fabulous community. And I just want to say thank you also for every one of my members. I try my very hardest to answer all your questions in the comments. So leave a question if you want, and I do work really hard to answer all members' comments and questions. And I just wanted to say thank you, and I just adore you. I love having you here with us on this great astrological journey with me, and I love sharing my knowledge with you. Okay, let's keep going. Mostly the karmic mission here with Pluto Sun is to transform yourselves and perhaps the world by shining the light on the hidden and buried treasures within, the buried truths, if you will. You are a great change maker, and you're going to take what society says, don't look at, don't talk about, don't know about it, all the secrets, and you're going to shine the light on those very things. Pluto Sun people have a deep, deep need for understanding the truth. And you'll have a talent for researching anything. And you make great investigators. And you're brilliant at uncovering secrets. And you have, like I said before, a deep intuition and psychic ability. You have a genius BS meter. You have X-ray vision and penetrating insight. Can you relate? There's a deep knowing inside of you. And by the way, if you don't know about your chart, if you don't know where Pluto is, if you don't know where all those things are in your chart, I cannot recommend enough that you get my starter package. And if you've already done that, get the Advanced Astro Gold Package. Those two reports in my shop, you can click down below in the notes section, or you can just go to soulnavigation.com, click on the shop tab, and you'll see all my options. I have so many great options. The solar return report is fantastic, but I really love the starter package and I love the Advanced Astro Gold Package. The Advanced Astro Gold Package is so good because you get to know all your rulers. So it is really important for you to know the ruler of your Pluto too. If you buy the Advanced Astro Gold Package, it goes into that a little bit. It goes into all your rulers for all your planets. But that's another element to understanding your Pluto. So like I said, you have this penetrating insight, this ability to do research. And these assets are the tools that you're going to use to create transformation in your life and to evolve out of the unhealthy shadow parts of yourself, to emerge. These are the things, the X-ray vision, the research, your psychic insight, your desire for truth, your ability to shine the light on the things that are wrong or taboo. These are some of the tools that you're going to use to emerge out of the chronic suspicion that you have about life. These are the tools that are going to help you when you mistrust people and situations. These are the tools that are going to help you heal the conflicts, the wounds, the traumas, and even the power struggles. And you're going to use these tools to manage your aggressiveness and even your own self-destruction. Now, you're going to experience major crises in your life that will force you to make these changes. They'll force you to transform. And this is a lifelong process because there's an inner need to grow. And then at a certain evolutionary stage in your life, you reach a point of great satisfaction and comfort with your self-image and how you express your power. Hopefully, that's the goal. You have a great potential to express your power, and you have a great potential to wield your power safely and productively in a way that will lead you to a position of authority. You can have a very deep impact on others with this position, with a Sun Pluto aspect. You also will have the ability to heal through your deep insights, through discovering the truth. So I'm going to give you some specific examples. Right now, I want to talk about the Sun conjunct Pluto on the positive side. So the Sun conjunct Pluto can be very, very difficult and very hard, and it can also be greatly rewarding. But on the positive side, this person will be a great transformer, just like I described. And that will be like the core need. When Pluto is sitting right where the sun is, it just merges and blends and it becomes one. I want you to think of the sun and Pluto now as Siamese twins, and you can go nowhere without Pluto. Pluto is literally a ball and chain to your sun. You are quite scorpionic. You should watch my entire Scorpio playlist to understand your Plutonian nature. And I oftentimes say that you are like a stick of dynamite. And so a stick of dynamite can be a great detonator and blow things up, completely dissolve them into ash, or it can be fireworks. So which one are you? In challenge aspect, this is a person, if you're still struggling in life, who's going to kind of have chronic power struggles. And it's hard to overcome the past pains in your life, and your wounds can feel chronically overwhelming, larger than life. And you may also be a very intimidating private person and have a great sense of pride. But I will tell you that death and loss and divorce and goodbyes, the takeaways in life are going to be prominent in your life. You may even have a dark sense of humor. You might be in touch with the gore. You might be somebody who is too truthful, right? Others can't handle the truth. You will be so observant. You will be always deep. I mean, this is deep, deep, deep. Even if you have this in the 5th house, These people are usually intensely loyal, super bold, very courageous, really good at investments, money management, setting themselves up for positions of power. These people are really shrewd. They kind of feel like they come with a James Bond superpower. Now, if it's gone awry, they can be abusive. They can be too domineering. They can be too full of themselves. They can be self-aggrandizing. They can not let another person have a chance, right? They can be self-obsessed. Sun conjunct Pluto is going to feel every single thing I just said in this whole video. Let's talk about how the Pluto square the Sun aspect is. There is a great deal of pressure with this aspect. You may not have been in harmony with your father figure. With the conjunction, your father figure was probably eclipsed you, probably was very powerful, larger than life. With the square, there's a conflict here. And you may have felt overlooked or disempowered, forced to live a life that you didn't choose for yourself or that you didn't want or that you were disgusted by. You also may have felt bullied or dominated or even pushed around in your childhood at school. You may have also felt like other people tried to take your power away or thwart your power. The key here is to reclaim your power, to believe in yourself, and to overcome the messaging that you were not capable enough. I have this personal placement. I don't talk about my placements very often, but I had a lot of tragedies in my younger years, a lot of tragedies. I was bullied really badly at school, as so many of us were. And I think this story is really kind of ironic, but I wasn't very athletic. And, I had to take PE classes and play like tag football and baseball at PE and all that. And I wasn't very good. And so these girls who were quite athletic, they made fun of me. They bullied me. They pushed me into the lockers. Yeah, there was a whole gang of them. There was like 6 of them, and it was then just me. I don't know why they didn't like me. Maybe because I was a gringa. I don't know. But they made chronic fun of me, so much so that I didn't even want to go to school. They came one day to school in the locker room with a pair of scissors, and they were like, "We're going to give you a butch cut." And they tried to pin me down and cut off all my hair. It was traumatizing. It was horrible. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to reclaim my power on the football field. I knew I wasn't going to ever win at baseball. Right? I knew I wasn't going to be able to out-jock them. It really took a toll on me psychologically. I didn't even want to go to school anymore. On 2 occasions, I had to even call the police because I was afraid for my life. This is the irony. My mom was a high school principal, and she worked at a different school than me. And the girl who was like the leader of the gang who was bullying me, she ended up going to my mom's school, ironically. It just crazy. My mom didn't encounter her, nothing bad happened, but she transferred to that school. And I inquired about her, and I found out that 2 years after she was bullying me like that, she died. And she died of, as bizarre as this is for being in the 80s, she died of leukemia. I felt bad for her. I felt bad for her family. I never wanted her to die. I just wanted her to quit bullying me. And when she died, wow, that was a great awakening. I want to say this really gently. I have the Pluto square my Sun. I knew that I was not a bad person. I knew I did not deserve that bullying. They didn't like my, I think, femininity, if you will. I don't know what a goofball I was, right, athletically. But I knew that deep down inside of me, I knew it was blocked. I knew it was stuck. I knew it wasn't defined yet. I didn't know how my power was going to turn out. I didn't have a lot of personal power at that time in my life. I was a drama nerd. I did know that I never deserved that. And so I quietly tried to just go the other way. I just quietly tried to remove myself from that conflict, just to take the attention off of me. In a way, I used my Pluto power to sort of disappear, blend in with the wallpaper, if you will, when I saw those girls. I started to learn how to shrink my power, and then later in life, I learned how to bring my power forward. And so if you think of power like putty, you know how when to make it big and when to make it small. That's when you can control or measure the amount of power you're putting into the airwaves, if you will, or the vibrational energy of your power. That's when you can start to master it. I've had this aspect. I've told my husband, we've had so many deep talks about the losses, the death, the sufferings, the agonies that really shaped much of my life. And he just calls me a cat with 9 lives. He's like, most people don't survive one of those things, Mare, let alone, all of those things. So I can really relate to the crises in this square, and it is agonizing. But if you can stay in the lesson and in the pain and navigate through it and not make it worse and not deny it and not pretend it's not there, because it will just get bigger if you do that. You have to work with the conflict, work with it somehow to push through it, to move through it, to grow it. Those girls wanted to take my power away. They scared me, and they did. They toyed with me. They played with me. They messed with my head. I hope that if you have this square aspect, that you have enough inside of you to believe in the goodness of yourself, that you are capable to overcome eventually those crises. And you're going to get your karmic lessons delivered to you through painful events. The sun, our essence is being asked to change. And you can feel with this square aspect that your lifetime, like I had felt, like my lifetime had 1,000 losses and 1,000 rebirths. That was just one of them. This aspect will also make you feel at times that you're just so overwhelmed by fear, and your flow, your ebb and flow, your natural rhythm in life is barricaded, blocked off, choked off. The flow just is choked off. However, this aspect can promote getting you to know your truth. I had to dig down deep inside of myself to say, do I deserve this? What did I do? What's wrong with me? Why am I so deeply flawed that these 5 girls want to kill me? So I suck at football. Why? I don't know. They just pegged me. They didn't like my blue eyes and blonde hair. They did not like that. That made me go deep, deep, deep within and do really big soul searching. And let me tell you, like me, you don't always deserve the Pluto that you get, okay? I didn't do anything. I know I didn't. I never hurt anybody. I never even said a bad thing about anybody. Pluto is going to transform your life. It's going to reform it. Nobody deserves cruelty placed upon them. Nobody does. That's sort of the twist in all of this, because it's a psychological wound. So there's a little piece of us that goes, maybe I do deserve this. Maybe I am rotten. Maybe I am a terrible person, right? It plays psychological warfare on you, this Pluto square aspect. It does. It F's with you, and you start to believe these horrible things about yourself until you don't. And I hope you have enough grains of faith and belief in yourself that they can grow. This aspect will promote you getting to the truth of you, and it can create tremendous empowerment inside of you and deep awareness about life, about people. One thing that I think this square aspect does is, tell me if this has happened to you too. I can sit around a table, a group of, a bunch of people, and we can be having a conversation about something on the surface. And I'm going along with the conversation on the surface, but I can see 16 layers underneath, and I can see what is really going on. And I can also see somebody who's saying something maybe mean to me or derogatory to me, and I can see their intention inside is love. And so I don't offend very easily. Especially, if the delivery is awful, but I know the intention is good, I go with the intention, not the delivery. When you have a Pluto square, you're really good at seeing the dichotomy and seeing true intentions and what you're receiving, for good or for bad. It's really interesting. There's a split there. Do you have that? Can you relate? So Pluto opposite the sun, I think, is the hardest aspect to get. This creates an intense struggle to really express yourself, to share yourself, and to open up. You probably have control issues within yourself. You're either too controlling or you have really bad boundaries, right? It can be really hard for you to live up to your own standards with this placement, and you can feel like you're a chronic failure, but you're not. You can feel that way though. It's not true. You might even have a fear that other people don't believe in you or see you or get you or want you. You might feel like your own virtues and your power is not recognized. Oppositions create two opposite energies or desires inside a person that are on the same axis, right? This energy needs what this energy has, and this energy needs what this energy has. So with the sun and Pluto in opposition to each other, they need what the other has. And so we want to blend them. We don't want to just do the Pluto, then just do the Sun, because then that makes us a crazy person. The Sun is your friend and Pluto is your enemy, and you need to make friends with your enemy. If you're a Sun opposing Pluto person, it's like you're going to reject one of these planets, probably Pluto, because it's easy to do the Sun and it's hard to do Pluto. So you're probably going to reject Pluto. But remember, the goal is to merge the two energies together like a watercolor painting. If this is red and this is blue, we want to be purple. We don't want to neglect ourself, the Sun, and we don't want to neglect our power, Pluto, the power to change. Oftentimes, we will reject our soul's creative desires and doing life on our own terms, or we will reject our own power, or we will misabuse our power in some way to ourself or to others. But imagine if you were going to reject yourself or reject your power. That's sad. That's sad. This is a very, very tough aspect to have. And wherever you have an opposition in your chart, you'll most likely reject one of those planets, and that planet will know it. So it's likely to pop up in other people through projection, where I project myself onto you. So for example, if you have a loss of power, you're rejecting Pluto. So what do? You go out and you meet powerful people to be in relationship with. And then what do they do to you? Dominate you, eclipse you, not see you, right? They diminish the Sun in you. Yeah. And so it's a loop. It's a loop where it just goes round and round in crisis after crisis after crisis after crisis. And I want you to heal this. Tell me if you have this, and tell me what you have this in. So do you have a Sagittarius Pluto and you're a Gemini Sun, or are you a Virgo Pluto with a Pisces Sun? Yeah, tell me what you have, because this is hard. Meeting that person who's unhealthy, dominating, controlling, that control freak of a person, well, guess what's going to happen? It's going to force you, just like my situation with the bullies at school. It forced me to stand up for myself, even if I just did so quietly. I stood up for myself. This opposition will force you to work on your Pluto. Why? Because you're certainly not going to have the death of the Sun, because that is the death of the self. With oppositions, we're pulled in multiple directions. It's usually two, but it can be more than that. And we're being asked to step into the light. And we usually need, the light is the truth. We usually need something outside of ourselves to integrate these two energies to come together. We usually can't do it all by ourselves. We usually need a third party of some sort. If you have this aspect, you're going to live with an irony with this Sun Pluto opposition. It will be something like living out paradoxes. Like you'll be paradoxically strong yet vulnerable, or paradoxically you will be spontaneous and yet controlling, or you might be living out the paradox of being easygoing but yet bossy pants. Right? Oppositions are asking you to work with your relationships. You will grow through relationships. So if you have this opposition, tell me about your relationships, and are you empowered or disempowered? Tell me about your early relationships, and then tell me about your romantic relationships. Who empowered you? Who disempowered you? I want to know. Leave me a comment below. Oh, and by the way, will you guys subscribe? If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. I put content on here every single Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, and I do spontaneous lives, and I do spontaneous live readings using your charts, especially if you are a member or a subscriber. And if every single one of you just gets one person to subscribe, you will put me at 100,000 subscribers. And I want people to learn truthful astrology. So help me. Ring the bell and subscribe, please. Thank you. I love you. Also, let's go back to the opposition, because I want to finish this up for you. The father figure in the opposition kind of went against you, was a barricade or a block. Maybe they were jealous of you, or they were too domineering. Maybe they were too overprotective of you, too controlling of you to the point of being a detriment in some way. The control issues were detrimental. Relationships can be really, really tough with this placement, and it starts with a deep inner conflict inside of your own self, wanting two opposing things at the same time. And if you are not compassionate towards yourself, you can become a great self-sabotager, and I don't want that. And self-sabotage leads to destruction. Death and rebirth are the mega themes that run your soul. You might have intense fears around dying, so much so that it's hard to live a happy life. You might have such deep fears of failing that it becomes difficult to do your daily life. It may not be easy for you to make changes, but that is exactly what you need to do to grow yourself. You, my friend, are being asked to change. So what in your life right now at this moment in time wants to be changed? What? This is the continuum of paradoxes. So going back to my example, I never really had experienced hatred in my life before. A little bit, but nothing like that. I mean, that was cruel. I felt like these people really wanted me dead. And so paradoxically, I got to learn what love and support, and I got to learn the truth about friendship because I got to understand through Pluto what an enemy really looked like. Right? So when you have an opposition, it's like you're going to know what love is because you got to experience what hate was. You're going to know what support looks like because you had to experience abandonment. You're going to know how valuable an education is because nobody got one in your family. Okay. So it's kind of that contrast learning. That's oppositions. So you're going to learn what to cherish something is because you were so severely neglected. Do you get it? Do you get it? Are you with me? Are you with me? Are you guys getting this? I hope so. I hope I'm explaining this in a way that you can really let it sink in. So there's a big fear of change. There's a big fear of transforming. There's a big fear of loss. There's a big fear of letting go, but you have to do that to grow yourself. This is going to be a constant chronic theme. Like that example that I gave you, I think I was 14 years old. If you are a Pluto Sun person, you are going to have tons of these things. Tons. It's not like you get one or two and poof, you're good. No, I am still having my Pluto tested all the time. I'm way better at dealing with it and navigating my power. Sometimes I mess up. Sometimes I'm just, I make terrible mistakes, but I'm a lot more finessed. And this opposition, I don't have this one, of course, this opposition is asking you to finesse these two, merge these two energies, the essence of you with your power. People might think, and you might be a little too stubborn. You might like to dominate. You might be called manipulative. You might be kind of jealous. You might be possessive. And if you're none of those things, well, then you might attract those people into your life because those are the subject matters in which you're going to work on. So let's talk about the Sun trine or sextile Pluto. I'm going to talk about these two together. So this is a very natural power placement. There's an awareness of your own power and you're in touch with it. And these people have kind of a calm, quiet, steady magnetic power. And they have an ease with their power. And they can oftentimes use their power in perfect proportion, but not always, not always. As I have mentioned, Pluto reflects the life transformations and the process of getting rid of the old, or as I like to say it, the healing of the psychological wound that is holding you back, that is sabotaging you, disempowering you, so you can make room for the new, improved you. The endless cycle of destroying or killing off that which no longer benefits you in order for you to create a better life and a more powerful life and a more self-empowering life. And these people can usually manage this transformation, this task at hand fairly well. Not always, but oftentimes. And these people usually embody their creative talents and their success comes kind of easily. Again, not always, but often. And with this positive aspect, there's a deep and honest self-reflection. There's a desire to get truthful, stay truthful, and honor the truth about themselves. They have an awareness. They know their ugly bits and they know their good bits, if you will. Also, I think there's a humility here. And inside that humility, there's another kind of power that they lean on. So I want to give you an example. Look at the life of Aretha Franklin. Oh my God. If you did not see Jennifer Hudson in the movie called Respect, it's the biography of Aretha Franklin. Please, please, please go watch that. Wow, 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 and wow. It was absolutely amazing. She has Pluto trine the Sun, and she, I think, is the total embodiment of this aspect, including her overpowering father who held her hostage for so long out of love, out of respect, out of wanting more for her, until she finally fought him off, her, if you will, to build life on her own terms. And he didn't like it. He didn't like it. But in the end, they got good again. But my God, he was overpowering. He was so filled with pride for who she was. But he wanted to do her or have her do her in his concept, in his idea, not in her own. And as a Black woman growing up in the 50s, her getting to do life on her own terms, which, by the way, she had an all-white band. All-white band. That's crazy. Wow, wow. Anyways, she got to do life on her own terms. And as an African-American woman in the 50s and 60s, oh my God, living in Memphis, Tennessee, That's the miracle I'm talking about. She transformed music. She transformed blacks and whites working together in collaboration. It was beautiful. I really want you to watch that movie, and you can see the great transformer in her. She is just an angelic and powerful soul. She was with men that chronically abused her and tried to overpower her, but nobody could touch her. Nobody could touch her. Her voice was like gold. Yeah, and they all tried to use her. They all used her money. Oh my God. She was larger than life, and she was so amazing. Not just from the songs that she sang, but what she created. Please, please, please go watch that movie and tell me if you have watched that movie. These people are usually in touch with their power and their influence, but not necessarily in a narcissistic way, not necessarily in an arrogant or egotistical way, but there's a sense of pride that won't let them succumb to people that take advantage of them or want to disempower them. So with the trine or the sextile, if you use your power well, if you make good decisions, they can really lead to evolving your soul. It can lead to enlightenment. These people can embrace change a little bit more easily than the opposition or the conjunction or the square. They can change with a little bit more of a positive flow. And their lives are going to need a constant change or transformation of the ego over and over and over and over. So right when you're standing on the top, you'll see with this trine or sextile, you'll see that you're actually not. And then you'll need to transform things again to stand on top, to then just realize that you're never on top. You're never really on top. You might be good, but you're never really on top. Things need to constantly transform and change because it's in perpetual motion. Your life is in perpetual motion, moving up, 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 up. There's always somewhere else to go. Always. There's always something new to learn. Look at the power in Tina Turner and how she needed to transform her life and overcome her challenges. She has this aspect too. So whatever you are interested in, you will often go to extremes to research and get an in-depth understanding of that topic, of that passion, of that desire. Whether the focus is on a person or a passion, it doesn't matter. You will like really deep and meaningful experiences around these desires, around your passions. And you probably feel the more intense, the better. These people usually come from a place of integrity when it comes to power and influence, but not always. Remember my example of Elon Musk's dad. I don't know what his aspect is, though, to tell you the truth. But they usually come from good intentions. Again, not always. I'm sure there's a lot of sinister and cruel people that misabuse their power with this trine, thinking that they were doing a good thing. The trine and the sextile can just have you believing your own bullshit, if you will, and it can really backfire. But if you have the trine or the sextile or whatever Pluto Sun aspect you have, what I want you to do is I want you to see if Pluto is making, in this case, if you have the trine or the sextile, is Pluto making other difficult aspects to other planets? Because I'm talking specifically about the sun in this video, but is it making a square or an opposition to the moon? That's pretty painful. So that means your Pluto's not off the hook. And Pluto can have numerous relationships with numerous planets. It can have all kinds of aspects. You might have 16 Pluto aspects, right? And so you're a really big Plutonian person who is here to work out Pluto themes in your life. And some will be easy and some will be hard. But the Pluto Sun aspect is gargantuan. It is enormous. It is so, so big. So this is my Pluto Sun aspect video. I was thinking of doing Pluto Moon, Pluto Venus, Pluto Mercury. Oh my God, Pluto Mars. Am I going to live through this? I don't know. But I love having you on my journey. Please be a subscriber and join, become a member, and come to my parties. I can't wait to meet you at my next astrology party. Anyways, I'm loving doing this Pluto series for you. I hope you're wonderful. I want you to tell me about your Pluto, where it is, and what the heck it's doing, and if you can feel it in your chart, and if I've helped you understand a little bit more about Pluto. Okay, so from my home here in Seattle to wherever you live in the world, thank you for being with me and take good care. Bye for now.